Guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today's video, we're going to be focusing on the Treasure Scramble and the new guide that is up for the Fire iteration. Now we know based on the debuffs that we do get in this, the rotation of heroes, quite a bit different, but you can see we have about 45 minutes until we begin the scrambling. So you want to set your teams, making sure that you have the substitutes in here and also the primary teams, the 2 teams, the 3 teams, the 4 teams, and getting everything set. That way, if you advance within here and it goes to multiple teams, you're not stuck with old heroes that were in here. So let's hop over, we'll break down this guide. All right, so here we have it, the Treasure Scramble Volcano debuff guide. That is October 24 from the AFK guys. Big shout out to them. I will put a link down to the guide below, and let's start out just like we always do. You can see that some of these teams are making a very pivotal change really to PvP. Some of these heroes kind of coming back. In the first team, we do have the Awakened version of Chimera running that SP effect, and Braun. Now, Braun is a hero that we have started to see in a lot of different places in AFK Arena. It's really cool because, of course, with him being a Greyborn hero, very easy to build. Now, Olgath is in here as well. Looking at the fire debuff that we have in here, Olgath is a solid one to run in here. We have Rimuru, and then we do have Ivan, as well as this beast right here. That's right, this is a beast that everyone hated, but he has the ability to negate energy, and that is the big thing that is basis for the Awakened version of Chimera. Now you can see in the bottom, there are a lot of different subs in here. Even Kregor is making a really appearance in here. When it comes to the PvP section, Kregor is very, very strong. Looking at the skills and abilities that he possesses, the crowd control, he does work very well in PvP. Doesn't seem like we're seeing him in a lot of other places, but PvP, he is very, very prevalent. Now you also notice that Alna is in here. We have Kanisa and Rook in here. Very strong. Now looking at some of the damage though, so thinking of like an Olgath, you can see we have a lot of variations in here, including Rando, our brand new hero. But you can see the Awakened version of Athalia's in there, Hilduin's in there, Lady Simona. Now traditionally looking at kind of the priority heroes in here, Lady Simona would be my choice as a substitute, because as we start getting into multiple game modes, you'll see Hilduin, you'll see the Awakened version of Athalia, you'll see a lot of these other heroes that are kind of used in different formations. Now, of course, Rimuru, the exact same. A lot of players, and we've seen in here, Robin Hood was in here for a while, but looking at Nyla, looking at Villanelle is another very, very strong one to run in here. And then Ivan is still such a big priority. He still falls into the absolute top tier heroes. The reason is when it comes to the shielding aspect, the energy regeneration, he works incredibly well within this formation and a multitude of formations. Now you also notice they added in the mid-season version, which is this run right here using the Awakened version of Chimera and then Alna in there. And then the 2-team version, this is a super, super strong team in here with the Slumbering Seal. And you can see even the substitutes down here because Shuna is in there. And then we do have Lucilla, and we have Liberto, which of course work incredibly well in PvP in conjunction. Now the second team is the Burst. Again, this has the Awakened version of Matria in here. Now the big reason for that is the debuff that you get with the volcanic, the volcanic Treasure Scramble. So looking at this, we also do have Melkri in here, so pretty interesting. The Awakened version of Athalia, like I said earlier, that we are seeing this hero in a couple different places. We have Tamris in here for some buffs and some crowd control. Then, of course, Amelia with the instant crowd control, very, very strong hero. But even looking at our substitutes down here for heroes that you might not possess, like Melkri, you can see Vathiel is in there, Lan is in there, the Awakened version of Leica is in there, Kelthan is in there. We have a lot of substitutes in here for heroes like Melkri that I know a lot of players do not build or have not built. And the same with the Awakened version of Matria, where of course, if Matria is not being run, the SP effect will fall to the Awakened version of Athalia, being very strong. And you'll notice down here, the 2-team version does run the Awakened version of Leica with our Panda Humpty, works incredibly well. Looking at 3, this is the Awakened version of Lucius. Now he is one that does, again, require a little bit of the survival in there, because you can see we are running Hilduin in there. Hilduin and Gavus, 2 very defense-orientated, support-orientated mages. Then we do have Melion in there and Lavatoon. So when you think of the Awakened version of Lucius and the SP effect he possesses, you are running a ton of heroes in there to provide the support to keep that Awakened version of Lucius. And then, of course, the Fox Fatale, going to provide some crowd control in here, working incredibly well. Now, if you remember the Awakened version of Belinda, this was the original comp that we were running before the Awakened version of Lucius was released. So if you don't have Lucius, Belinda would be the substitute comp to actually run in here. Even looking at Hildwyn, you can see right here, we have Jerome in here. We have a few other heroes that are very solid substitutes for other heroes, especially Aurelia is in there. You can see Eugene is in there. We have Nyla in here. A lot of heroes that do very similar things. Even looking in here, Palmer still a very strong staple. And then the 3-team version right here on the bottom, which is running the Ice Crown. Again, the crowd control aspect that we have in there. Now, SEAL Team 4, unfortunately, it's not SEAL Team 6, but you can see Albedo is in here. Now, a lot of players were kind of questioning Albedo as she kind of falls down within formations, falls out within the power creep. We see her pop up kind of every now and then niche. And the reason being, when you start looking at dimensional heroes, that is what she buffs with the signature item. Now, quickly, you'll realize that when you look at Liberta and Lucila, we have Eugene in here, we have Shuna. There are no dimensional heroes in here to speak about. So the buffs that she possesses, not really very prevalent when you look at this formation. If you haven't run Alna, Alna is a perfect substitute in here because, of course, Alna will keep Lucila alive. Lucila will keep Liberta alive in turn, and it just works in perfect harmony. Now, when you're building out the Awakened version of Eugene, we did get him for free. So if you're a player that's playing for a while, Eugene we got for free, Hildebrand we got for free, so you could use them. And ultimately, we also have Rem in here. Rem is another one, very similar to that Awakened version of Lucius, has to have some survivability, some crowd control, or she will die very, very early. Going down and looking at team number 5, the Awakened version of Sophia, this is where the SP effect is going to be run. And if you do not have Naruko, Naruko is probably one of the absolute #1 priorities when it comes to the basic builds within the Maulers, just like Villanelle does incredibly well within team formations. Then, of course, we have Rem in here, keeping Rem alive with the effect that we have of the Awakened version of Sophia. Tarnos in here, again, another very strong hero PvP-wise. And then we do have Demia in here to keep this entire team alive with the Ice Crown for the additional crowd control. So if there's no Awakened version of Sophia, you can see right down here, this is an interesting team because we have Rem, we have Amelia, we have Shuna, we have Albedo in there, which of course is going to provide the buff like we were talking about for the dimensional heroes, and then Demia out on the side. Now, the Aaron, or the Awakened version of Iran, is team number 6. Now, this one, of course, similar to what we've seen with Lucius, is the Awakened version of Iran, very, very squishy. If you can get the ult, if you can get his kind of his abilities up with the crowd control, survivability, and damage kind of go through the roof. And the Awakened version of Iran, very, very strong in the PvP mode, and we're also seeing him in a lot of other places. Now, the combination of Alna in here does go kind of hand in hand, and then you throw in Misha in there as PvP. You have Lan as a major buffer, and then, of course, Aurelia in there for, again, a major buffer, amplifying the damage that Awakened version of Iran is going to be doing, and then, of course, only keeping alive. Now, this is the other version that players are running. You can see Kregor is in here instead of Alna. So that is, again, a pretty good substitute. In Kregor, we are seeing in a couple different formations. Now, the Awakened version of Leica, again, you can see Kregor makes his presence known. And we also do have Randall that falls right into this formation. So we're starting to see a lot of the new heroes to AFK Arena. And you can see down here, this is kind of an interesting comparison where Randall equal to Ivan, which of course is a little bit less than Misha and the other heroes here. So it's interesting to see that Randall is pulling really such a commanding position. Looking at the Awakened version, or excuse me, the original version of Ivan, does work incredibly well. Now, this all goes around the Awakened version of Leica. So if you don't have Leica, there's a couple different variations that you can actually do in here. And Gwen is also in this formation. When you think of damage and the ability for Leica and Gwen to work in synergy, the damage goes through the roof with this team. And then, of course, we get buffs out here with 2 of our support heroes. Gregor, a major, major tank. Now, the bonus team in here, this is a little bit of an older team that we've seen. And this, of course, is the Awakened version of Matria. Then we have Kelthin in here, and then we do have Aziz. This is going to provide an incredible amount of buffs between this team because the Awakened version of Matria does buff with the SP effect, the other hypos that we see. So my thought, even with her, is in the future, we might see a lot more a lot more use of her based on the future releases of Hypo heroes into AFK Arena. Meleon, of course, buffing the Draconic heroes. Hildwyn is out here as well. And then we have the substitutes in here, including Kniss and Rook, and of course, Zolrath. Now, that is an older formation that we used to run. Patria used to run with 5 Hypo heroes. Since then, they've been kind of replaced a little bit, but overall still doing incredibly effective. So, all right, guys, so that is going to do it for the Treasure Scramble, the Volcano debuff guide. Again, big shout out to the AFK guides. I put a link down below to this guide so you can check it out. You can bookmark it, you can save it. But that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.